What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, as usual. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about the most pressured WNBA players. But before we do that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment, tell anyone about the show. I'm trying to get the ratings up a little bit, just a little bit. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the most pressured WNBA players. And when I say most pressure, we're talking about to win the championship. That's what we're talking about in the day, okay? So now that y'all got that, let's bring up some honorable mentions. I think that's fair, right? So there it is. So as y'all can see, ladies and gentlemen, I have 12 ladies here on the screen. They all are solid hoopers. I'm going to let y'all hem and haw about these ladies, right? Like, I'm curious if anybody up here is surprising for you, right? But let's list them off real quick for the listeners. So we have Jonquel Jones at number 12, Kaleah Copper at number 11, Chelsea Gray at number 10, Nneka Ogumike at number 9, Alysha Gray at number 11, Satou Sabally at number 7, Sabrina Ionescu at number 6, Skylar Diggins-Smith at number 5, Caitlin Clark at number 4, Rhyne Howard at number 3, Nneka Ogumike at number 2, and Alyssa Thomas at number 1. Now, some of you guys might be saying, why are some of these players up here? Let's talk about them real quick, right? For example, Jonquel Jones, Kaleah Copper, Chelsea Gray, Nneka Ogumike. All of them are at least a one-time champion, a finals MVP, and some of them actually boast an MVP. Nneka and Jonquel, they have an MVP. Nneka in 2016, Jonquel in 2021. Here's the reason why I say there's a little bit of pressure on them. Because, well, when you win a championship, there should be levels of expectation to get back there. It's not like you just win one and that's it, right? Everybody talks about how you win a championship and how you yearn to get back there. So there should be some pressure on these ladies. And Jonquel just won Finals MVP, so that's why she at the bottom of the list. Kaleah Copper won Finals MVP not too long ago too, so she don't have to, do too much. Chelsea Gray, the only reason why she's higher than a Kaleah Copper and Jonquel Jones is because, well, last year's perception. She was injured, but people were trying to talk about how she's lost a step. She's getting older. So that's the reason why I put her up here. Nneka, I think you're top 5 NBA caliber player. Worst case, top 10. So I want to put you higher. But again, based on your history, I understand it. But when I look at other players, like an Alysha Gray, like an Aaliyah Boston, like a Satou Sabally, Sabrina Ionescu, even though Sabrina just won last year, she won as the second option. So I'm curious if she can win as a first option, right? Can she get that finals MVP? Chelsea Gray did it as perceived to be the second option, right? So can Sabrina Ionescu do something similar? Skylar Diggins-Smith. All of these players that I'm listing outside of Nneka, Chelsea, Kaleah, and Jonquel have not, and Sabrina, have not won a championship, right? So I want to see, can they actually win a championship? And I believe they have the skill set to do so. Look at someone like a Skylar Diggins-Smith when she came out of college, high expectations. But again, currently point in time, no ring. Not necessarily a knock on her. It's not like she's not a good player. It's just there's a little bit of pressure because, well, younger players are starting to win championships. And it would be nice if you could win one. But not everyone can win a championship, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Rhyne Howard. Rhyne Howard, I think we should now have expectations for Rhyne Howard to be on a contending team. Like when she's paired with a Brittney Griner and Alysha Gray, I think that boasts for expectations of championship, especially given how she plays. Looking at Nneka Ogumike, one of the stars of this league, but yet does not have a title. We need to see her get to that championship realm. And I thought she could have done so on this Dallas Wings team a couple years ago. They fell a little short. So we got to see, can she get there? There's a little bit of pressure. How about someone like an Alyssa Thomas? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a star status player. She's a future Hall of Famer. No titles. That hurts. She's done a lot for the game. There's a little bit of pressure on her to win that championship. Again, she's done a lot. Does she have to? Not everybody in the history of sports has won a championship. So does she need to? That's debatable. But I would love for her to win one. Now, I think y'all see Caitlin Clark on the list, right? I have her as high as number 4. Y'all heard why I put everybody else up there. Caitlin Clark is up here, long story short, because of the stands. If not, I probably would have put her closer to Aaliyah Boston's level because the Fever did get a lot of acquisitions this year, and it's supposed to vault them into contention status. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I have to put pressure on Caitlin Clark when her stands are saying, oh, she's the best player in the league. She's the face of the league. She should have won MVP, all of this stuff. Okay, well, cool. Let's put her up here then. And keep in mind, I really don't want to But because of the stands, it's very similar to LeBron James stands, and it's very disgusting work. That's why I'm trying to make sure I enjoy Caitlin Clark, but I'm being fair when I use this list, because again, everybody else wants to put a lot of hype around Caitlin, then we got to add pressure around Caitlin as well too. And again, we're talking about championships this season because both of their the Fever are a star-studded squad. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, they're pretty stacked. They're pretty stacked. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all heard all of my honorable mentions so far. So I'm definitely curious. Did I leave anybody off for you guys? I know somebody's probably wondering why didn't I put Angel Reese? For the Sky to win a championship this season, I don't expect that. I could see the Fever maybe winning a championship. There's a world. So again, I'm basing this off of expectations. And you could say, well, how about Nneka Ogumike? Because I don't expect the Wings to win the championship this year either. But again, it's her star status that provides that pressure. So again, those are the honorable mentions, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed those. But now we get to go on to the top 5. And the top 5, ladies and gentlemen, looks a little bit like this. Sorry, there it goes. So top 5, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5 is going to be Kelsey Plum, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all see my jersey, right? Y'all see my jersey. So y'all know I'm a little biased, right? I talked about Nneka, and this is actually her jersey earlier. I talked about Nneka earlier, and this was her jersey. Kelsey Plum is supposed to be replacing Nneka as the star to lead us, or the next star to lead us to the promised land. And keep in mind, too, we have Dearica Hamby on the squad, but there's a little bit of more pressure. There's a little bit more pressure with Kelsey Plum because she requested a trade from the Las Vegas Aces. When you request that trade and you wanted to go to the Sparks, and we have a good team, we have good talent, that means you have to win at some point in time. We got to win championship. And it's not like the Sparks have never won a championship before, so we do have expectations. Keep in mind, too, as Sparks fans, some of us are going to be comparing you to a Paige Beckers because I know for a fact I was hoping for Paige for the longest time. I was talking about a game plan where we can get Paige Beckers and possibly even Juju while keeping Rickea Jackson and Cameron Brink on the squad. Like, that would have been amazing. So again, as fans of not just the WNBA, but Sparks fans, there's definitely some pressure on Kelsey Plum to get this Sparks team to the championship. Kelsey Plum has been viewed as the second option. I thought she was the third option, maybe sometimes even fourth on the Aces. So if you were really a second option, all right, now's your time to showcase that. And then you can even showcase your first option. Remember, she was the number 1 pick for her injuries. So again, a little bit of pressure on Kelsey Plum, ladies and gentlemen. But let's not harp on her too much because there's other players to talk about for pressure-wise. So number 4, Brittney Griner, BG. Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, BG is one of the most dominant players the game has seen physically ever. At 6'9", can shoot a mid-range, can shoot a 3, can be on the block. Like, we talk about A'ja Wilson as dominant. BG should be looked at in a similar manner. And her star status and her dominance is the reason why she's a top 5 player for me in terms of pressure. And she was on the Mercury. She ended up leaving. But because she ended up leaving and going to the Dream, based on who the Dream currently have, that makes me add the pressure to her for her. Because she is, again, a dominant force, a star player in the WNBA. And on this team, you could end up being, at worst, the second option on a championship squad. A little bit of pressure. And this team could, in fact, beat teams like the Liberty, like the Aces, like the Fever. They could legitimately win it all if Brittney Griner dominates. So, again, curious what she does. And she's actually won a championship before, too. Now, let's not forget that. But will she be remembered as a second option forever, or can she be remembered as a first option? Remember, Kobe Bryant possibly would have been remembered as a second option for the rest of the time if he did not win those championships, or at least another championship post the three-peat with Shaq. We won one with DT. Can you win one without her? That's what people are going to be questioning. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Brittney Griner, it's a little bit of pressure on BG to win the championship. Not going to lie to y'all. But let's move on down to the number 3 player with the most pressure, which is Jewel Lloyd. Ladies and gentlemen, we've seen Jewel Lloyd win some championships, right? We understand who Jewel Lloyd is, the Gold Mamba called. Like, she's been titled the Gold Mamba. That's quite a title to be coined. Can she win one as a second option? Because remember, she played with Sue Bird and Brianna Stewart. And those were the 1 and 2 options for the Storm. Now she's going to be on this Aces team, so she could still be a third option on the championship team. Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young are still on squad. Asia's is going to be the perceived first option. Can Jewel Lloyd be perceived as the second? And again, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, those are no slouches. So you got to usurp those two. That's pretty stout. And again, your star status might have been in question because last year during the playoffs, you didn't do that well. Let's be honest. So the star status redemption tour, that's going to be a focal point for me this year. Because if you get it back, then all right, cool. And I'm not even talking about a championship. I'm talking about just play well consistently too, because streakiness was a thing for you, for me at least. So if we can remedy that, we can take off the pressure. But if not, we got to talk about Jewel Lloyd a little bit differently. But again, ladies and gentlemen, Jewel Lloyd is number 3. So I know y'all curious who's number 2. It's Napheesa Collier for me. All right. Now, Napheesa Collier is one of the best players in the game. To be more specific, one of the faces of the league, at least for me, and she should be for y'all, especially now, especially how she played in the Unrivaled League, especially how she played in the finals, like all last year, could have won MVP and DPOY. That should boast some pressure. Again, I just listed off what she did just last year, and that could be repeatable again. So again, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking about pressure to win a title, yes, in comparison to other teams, she might not have the names that everybody else has. She does have sufficient talent, or she does have sufficient talent on her team. So I can't say, oh, well, she can't win. I can't have no expectations of a championship. Have to put them there. But I do give her a little bit of grace, just a little bit. And I give her a little bit of grace in comparison to the number 1 picks or the number 1 players with the most pressure, which is Brianna Stewart and A'ja Wilson. In order, actually. In order. And the reason why I said that, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all have heard my NBA takes, I think Bron, Steph, and KD have the most pressure to win a title. And I think these girls are the closest thing to the GOATs that we have currently. And that's why I have them as the highest on my top pressure list. Now, keep in mind, you can put Napheesa Collier on that list if you want to, too. I'm not mad at it because they're my favorite matchups to watch, too. But in terms of pressure, both of those two are still one of the faces of the league, one of the better players of the league. If you ask people on average, they might say those two before last year. So there might be a little bit more pressure. And keep in mind, Brianna Stewart just won a championship. Get it. I still need to see her win another one, though, because she's in competition with A'ja Wilson for the GOAT conversation. A'ja Wilson just sped up and got a lot of titles and a lot of notoriety in a small amount of time. At one point in time, we were talking about Stewie as the next GOAT. That conversation has kind of waned off a little bit. So there's a little bit more pressure for Stewie than I say A'ja Wilson to win a title. A'ja just had back-to-back championships. Stewie ain't. So again, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little bit more pressure for Stewie, even though she just won the championship. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is my top 5 listing for most pressure players in the WNBA. So I'm definitely curious if y'all have a different order. Did I mess this up in any way, shape, or form? I'm definitely curious. And I was torn. I did want to put some other players on this list. Like I did consider an Alyssa Thomas, a Caitlin Clark, again, because of the stands, right? Like I did think about that. But this overall is my top 5. So I'm definitely curious what you all have to think about it. So make sure to comment your thoughts. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the show. So I definitely thank you all for listening. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.